We are back for 2024. This is Push Pop number 7, and I'm very excited to be back. It was busy week last week. First of all, hope everyone had a great break. Hope you managed to get a break away from the computer. I myself had about 2.5 weeks where I just didn't touch the computer at all, and I thought it was a good idea when I came back having to get the fingers back on the keyboard. I'd got a new keyboard. I tweeted about it. It was a Alice layout, which is like a split. It's not too dissimilar in layout to a normal like QWERTY keyboard, but the keyboard is kind of split between the TGB and the YH and the M. So it took probably about 20 minutes to get used to that. It wasn't nearly as debilitating as I thought it was going to be. So enjoying that one. But I hope you all had a good break, had some time away, had some time away from the computer, or more time on the computer doing the things that you want instead of the things that you have to do. So this year, after the break, I came back and was straight into Snowflakes. Of course, we merged. I had to rebase everything because I was off for 2.5 weeks, but my colleagues were still working, and so there was things going on. So I had to rebase and deal with the conflicts and things like that. And we pushed the Snowflakes out to production on Tuesday last week. So that's been an ongoing project. If you've listened to this, or if you've listened to North Meet South, or you've seen me tweeting about it, that's been an ongoing project for a little while. So it was nice to get that into production, and we thought we were in the clear without any issues, and then we discovered that the CRM of like our parent group, they were using 32-bit integers, and so when you send a 32-bit integer across to a system, when you send a 64-bit integer across to a system that is expecting 32-bit integers, you get all kinds of kind of interesting things happening, whether that's overflows or coercion errors, where they're trying, they're trying to kind of convert a 64-bit integer into the 32-bit integer. You get exceptions and things like that. So there was a a few stumbles, not within our system so much, fortunately, but just from the parent group, there was a couple of issues there that we dealt with pretty quickly. Salesforce as well. We had things being stored as numeric fields in Salesforce, and that same sort of issue, overflows and things like that. So we just converted everything to text, and that was fine. And then we had some issue just yesterday, actually, where it looked as though a user was being created in Salesforce with 6 IDs, because Salesforce was helpfully taking that 64-bit number and splitting it, putting commas in every 3 digits. So that was a bit of tail chasing there yesterday, but that's all done. The other thing that I was doing kind of tangentially / on the back of the Snowflakes was migrating our test suite to use Pest. Pest PHP, for those of you who don't know, is kind of it's a subset, superset of PHP unit. So it will still run your PHP unit class-based, class style unit test quite happily, but it is a different runner. There's some dark magic in there, especially in our situation, that took our test suite, using the parallel testing stuff. It took our test suite down from about 6.5 minutes to 4.5 minutes, and that was largely just swapping from PHP unit to Pest as the runner. So there's a bit of discussion going on at the moment. Taylor tweeted last week, I think, that Laravel is considering maybe making, maybe now, 2 years removed from the last attempt at making Pest the default test runner. I think it's a good idea. I think, broadly speaking, it will just work without having to rewrite anything. We found that due to the way we were scaffolding some things and the way that we were writing some of our tests, which are sometimes a little bit off the beaten track, off the garden path in terms of how they're put together, especially because we've got multi-database, multi-tenancy at the moment. Some things that we've had to done to facilitate that meant that, for whatever reason, the PHP unit class style test didn't work, and as soon as we converted them to Pest, everything was fine. So I don't know the specifics or the reasons. I just know that changing from one to the other for whatever reason did work, which is, fine. We didn't have to scratch our heads about it for too much. And Pest provides this drift plugin. So if you do vendor bin pest dash dash drift and give it a class path or a directory, it will go through and migrate. And it did a pretty good job of that. Like 98% of the tests were fine. We had to do a little bit of massaging by hand after the fact, particularly if you've got, I know it's fairly common in our test suite that we will have some like helpers or some methods within a test class to do some kind of scaffolding. And so that might be responsible for setting up a test in a specific way each time without kind of clogging up the setup method itself. And that means we've got this method somewhere, but we might have a bunch of test classes that do that kind of same work for different integrations with different lenders, for example. And so we've got the same method name across multiple classes and across multiple tests. And that is okay in that specific setup when you're using classes, because you've got the namespace and the class isolation of those things. Once you flatten everything into flat PHP files, you then have to start getting a little bit more creative with naming of those things. So there are some situations where we name them more verbosely. So instead of like create application, we would have like create a lender name application, just so that we could kind of have that functionality, but there's obviously no inheritance in a flat PHP file. So things like that. And in some situations we just left the classes. So we didn't totally migrate our test base. We did migrate a chunk of it. I think we ended up about 8,000 lines of code less after migrating to Pest. So very, very happy with that. And we've got our test times in CI as well. So I said it's about 4.5 minutes running it locally, the full test suite in parallel. This is on my M2 Pro with 10 cores. In GitHub Actions, we've got our tests running using 8 core runners now, and that kind of, we still have to split the test suite up into different pieces, but that enables us to get our test suite sort of under 10 minutes again, which is good. So the other thing that I've been kind of working on, I suppose I've never really stopped, but getting the final bits and pieces together for our venue for Laracon AU this year. It's a bit tricky. I was saying to someone the other day, it's a bit tricky because we've got so many big public Laravel events. So we've got Laracon EU happening at the beginning of February. We've got Laracon India happening at the end of March. Laravel Live UK is back, I think, in July. And Laravel Live Denmark is starting up this year, which I think is in August. So we've got kind of all of this overlapping stuff now for the different events. Laracon US is putting their website out sometime this week. So trying to find a gap to kind of start talking about Laracon AU, which is not happening till November, is kind of tricky. So we've finalized the venue, we've finalized the dates. I'm just going back and forth on a few bits and pieces with the venue, just to finalize our requirements. So we know where it is and when it's going to be. It's just a matter of the specifics of the contract that we're just going over. And because I went and saw them right before Christmas, and then they're still on leave, I think, at the moment. So hopefully next week I'll have a better idea. I've started going through budgets. I've engaged with a couple of speakers. So we're going to do Blind Bird again this year, which is when you'll get your heavily, I think, at this stage, discounted conference ticket. So I'm hoping to have one speaker locked in at that point, an international speaker, someone that you're going to know. And that will be like, we're doing the conference in this city at this venue on these dates, and this is our first speaker that we're announcing here. Sign up for more information, and then we'll follow that probably between Laracon EU and Laracon India somewhere in February or March, once we get that kind of stuff out, because Nucleus, who are doing all the branding for us again this year, who did a fantastic job. You can see over my shoulder there the towel that they did up. They did a fantastic job with everything. So we're just looking at that. At the moment, they're just back on deck this week, so we've got to go through and do some design and some go through some iterations around logos and things like that. So it's all happening for Laracon. I'm very excited. We're doing 2 days again. I'm not going to get too adventurous with the format. We're gonna make sure that there's more defined breaks. We're going to make sure that there's plenty of opportunities for people to network and speak with each other and share their enthusiasm and excitement for the talks and what they've just heard and what they're looking forward to seeing later in the day. We are going to cater. We've got a huge venue, so we didn't have the space in Sydney, but the venue we're looking at, the venue that we are at, will be at this year. They hire out the foyer of their main auditorium for cocktail functions. So it is a big venue, and we've got plenty of outdoor space as well to explore near the venue. So we're catering. We're hoping everyone will have then the ability to kind of stay with the conference attendees for as much as possible. And we're going to do after dark, and we're looking at doing another networking event. Someone pointed out to me that having the after dark on Thursday is fantastic because you know that everyone is going to be there, and so you give as many attendees the opportunity to attend that social event, that networking event, as possible, because everyone is going to stay for the second day of the conference. And what that means is that you can speak with the speakers. You can talk to the speakers about their talks and things like that spoke on the first day at that event. But the trick with the people that speak on the second day is they kind of don't have that feedback loop. They don't really have as much opportunity because at the end of the second day, they kind of, everyone goes home. So we're going to schedule a second event at the conclusion, immediately following the conclusion of this second day. So this means that you'll get that opportunity to talk to those speakers, I think, and it means that they don't miss out on that feedback loop, and they get to kind of get that full experience that everyone that spoke on the first day did as well. So it kind of rounds it out for the attendees and the speakers to get a bit more cohesion, a bit more time together. And we're going to do the second day immediately. So you'll walk out of the auditorium on the first day, on the second day, sorry, and we'll go straight into the networking event on the second day. And that means that even if you have to leave on Friday night, you'll still have the opportunity to meet with everyone on Friday afternoon, Friday evening, have something to eat, something to drink, have a chat, and then you don't have to rush out the door at 3 o'clock and miss the last talk or anything like that, and still be able to catch a later flight, like a 7 or an 8 or even a 9 o'clock flight home, depending on where you're going. Or alternatively, and this is something that we're working with the city specifically that we're going to be in, maybe stay a little bit longer, maybe stay on the Friday or the Saturday, bring your family, have a bit of an adventure in and around the city. So we're looking to kind of, obviously Laracon itself is the focus of the event, but we're looking to provide opportunities for attendees to kind of make a bit more of a thing for it. Maybe make it a bit more exciting, enticing, even to bring your partners and kids and things like that, and for them to actually have something to do during the conference, and then you can have a bit of time around it. So it's not for everyone, but I think we're trying to make Laracon more of a family kind of community event this year, and giving attendees the opportunities. We're going to try and do something the night before, Thursday night, Friday night. We want to have everyone have as much opportunity to learn and engage with everyone for as much of that conference period as possible, both at the venue and outside of it. So I hope everyone that's wanting to come is excited. I hope that those of you that came last year come again this year. Maybe those of you that were 2018, 2019 and didn't make it last year, you know the feedback is such that you want to come back. So I'm very excited for everything that's happening. I'm really excited to share information with everyone. I think you'll all be pretty excited with the direction that we're heading in, and what we're trying to do with Laracon, with our specific Australian spin on it, and our own little taste of that event. So, yep, that's it. This week I just got to go and kick off with those snowflakes. So we've got to do the actual migration now. So we've got all the new stuff working and we're happy with that. So now we've got to migrate all of the existing data to use snowflakes, update all the IDs on all of the individual tenant databases, and then update everything in Salesforce and in the CRM and things like that, so that everything references properly. And then hopefully we're targeting by the end of February. So we've still got a week and a half, 2 weeks to kind of deal with it, mash it all together into one database. So assuming all of the re-indexing goes fine, the rest of it should be fine in theory. So theory is a wonderful thing. But until next time, have a good one.